This is Western Mass News.
We begin with developing news out of Southwick, where the district attorney's office is investigating reports of racially charged bullying at the regional high school. Welcome to Western Mass News at 5. I'm Abby Carnevale. The NAACP claiming one student was called the N-word, while another allegation claims white students set up an online slave auction. Western Mass News reporter Wesley Days is following this for us tonight. Wesley?
Yeah, Abby, just a few weeks into a month that's supposed to celebrate Black history, we're talking about alleged discrimination of Black students. The Springfield branch of the NAACP submitted a letter to our newsroom Sunday night that spelled out how this female student faced derogatory racial insults. But there's also allegations that you just talked about. White students set up an online slave auction where they could bid on their Black classmates. Now, it's unclear what the timeline is when these incidents did occur. We do know that the female student's mother filed a complaint of discriminatory practices. You're taking a look at where these alleged incidents took place, the Southwick Regional High School. The Greater Springfield's NAACP's branch also sent a letter to the principal of the school and Jennifer Willard, the superintendent of the Southwick Tolland Granville Regional School District, to demand an investigation into these alleged incidents of racial bullying. We spoke with Bishop Talbert W. Swan just a few moments ago about these incidents, and here's what he had to say.
You know, in 2024, for that type of behavior to be going on among teenagers lets us know that we've got a myriad of problems, one of them being the fact that racism is being passed down from generation to generation. And when we thought that it would be dissipating with new generations, we find that it's being reinforced by the generations before them.
Some powerful words there from Bishop Swan, who's also the leader of the Greater Springfield NAACP chapter. Now, the NAACP's demands for answers didn't stop with their letter. Local and regional law enforcement are also getting involved. Tonight, we're hearing from the Hampden County District Attorney's Office. They provided us with a statement that reads in part, quote, on Thursday, February 15th, the Hampden District Attorney's Office became aware of an alleged hate-based incident involving juveniles in the town of Southwick. The immediate description and nature of the alleged incident prompted Hampden District Attorney Anthony Gallooni to direct the involvement of members of his office and its Massachusetts State Police Detective Unit. Hate-based harassment and violence has no place in our community. We will investigate any such allegations and will prosecute any criminal violations vigorously. Now, we've made multiple attempts throughout the day to reach Superintendent Willard for comment, but have yet to hear back. We also reached out to every school committee member in that district and are awaiting a comment on these accusations. Abby, our report tonight isn't the first time we've brought a story of racially charged violence in that area to our viewers. Tonight at 6, we highlight our reporting nearly 2 years ago of racist vandalism in that district. Reporting live in studio, Wesley Days, Western Mass News.